In terms of representation, I thought carefully about how to represent and attract my target audience through all media language. My primary research shows me that my primary target audience was males and females aged 18 to 24 in social grades C1 to E, of white British ethnicity and any sexuality, so I began by researching what stereotypes this demographic would find appealing. I represented both gender by keeping the typography gender neutral and by not using women as sexual objects because, as Mulvey argued in 1975, this might put off some female readers. I use mostly male models to attract males because if women are not being used as sex objects, males might be put off the product if I had used women, but women are not put off products that have males on. I went for obvious youth stereotypes like those Stanley Hall and Hebridge argued existed through including rebellious looking style vehicles in my images who were a similar age to the target audience by making drug references and through using typography and colours that connotated youth as trouble and fun. I represented the ethnicity of my target audience by using style vehicles from the same ethnic background as my target audience. I represented the class of my target audience through using mise en scène the target audience could relate to, such as setting that looked like places they would go and costumes that look like everyday affordable clothes worn by indie music fans and opposed to expensive suits. Throughout this whole project I have picked up a lot of skills and techniques I did not know before doing this coursework, and also developed some existing skills I had from doing the GCSE media. Technology played a huge part in all of this, and there were so many new programs I had to become more familiar with. The first program I used that was new to me was Blogger. I found out I had to use this program on a weekly and sometimes even daily basis during the planning stages of my coursework because this is where I upload all my work. It is very easy to use and is better than making a paper portfolio because it is very possible to include text, images and moving images in a way that looks professional and can be accessed easily online by anyone. However, I would not say it was always reliable as I had some problems with losing my work when drafts did not save or publish. The internet was the biggest friend throughout the whole project, and without it I think I would really struggle with the planning and presentation side of the coursework. The internet allowed me to access information about everything, get existing products to analyse for free, to gain inspiration, and also allowed me to use sites such as Blogger, SurveyMonkey, and social networking sites to share my surveys. The internet was really essential for everything I did, and it allowed me to become a producer, not just a consumer, of media text which supports what Gauntlet argued in 2001 because Blogger let me reach a real audience for my work. I also found being able to use SurveyMonkey really useful for my primary target audience. This site was also new to me. I found it really helpful because it allowed me to create many surveys and post them on many social sites to get answers and feedback from the public. This helped a lot when I came to create my final products as I knew my target audience and had a better understanding of how to reach out to them and represent them. When taking photographs to use on my products, I used a digital SLR 5D camera which I had very little experience with. I did not manage to take high quality photos at first as I did not know how to use the manual settings and aperture properly. Eventually, after 3 lessons from my teachers, I had a lot of practice and I became more and more familiar with it and managed to get a selection of images that looked professional enough to use. Though as I said earlier, this is still a skill I want to improve on. I also used a lot of editing programs to create products. The main one I used was Photoshop. I had used this at GCSE but felt I did not have a lot of knowledge and went beyond the basics so new. Especially after completing my prelim tasks that I needed to learn a lot more about. Adding images, creating documents, cropping images, erasing unwanted objects, adding text, adjusting images and working on layer effects. The more I used it, the more I got used to it. I looked at websites online to find out more about the fundamentals and shortcuts. I think I now am a lot more confident with this software, and I think my final work shows this because the editing all looks professional. Illustrator was another program I attempted to use. I used it when experimenting with creating text for my masthead, but in the end I decided to go with a more simpler design than the ones I tried on Illustrator. What I did learn about this program was it works with Photoshop and is quite similar to use. InDesign was a very useful program that I used for finishing off my products once I had edited my images in Photoshop. I had never used it before, so I learned from my teachers and watching online tutorials. What I liked about the programme was how professional it could make my text layout look, especially on my double page spread. I think I am now a lot more confident about using this software than I was, again, similar in some ways to Photoshop. Finally, I used the 5D again to film myself during the evaluation. This taught me how to put it onto film setting and use blue screen. The final evaluation edit will be edited in iMovie, a program I have used before and know how to blue screen it, as I did this during my GCSE. I will then post a video on YouTube or Vimeo and link it to the blog, which is another example of why the internet has been essential to this project. In conclusion, I think I have come away this year with a lot of new skills that will help me in the future. I think looking back at my prelim task, work alongside my final work, shows how my developing technology skills improved my work. When I created my prelim task, I did not do enough research into Photoshop, photographer, InDesign, audience or common conventions, and this shows as this work lacks professional flair. Specifically, if you look at my prelim task work, you will see that I had some idea that my cover and contents page needed to have some form of layout, colour, images and text on, as I followed the brief, but the layout looks clumsy, especially the contents page. The colours do not work well for the target audience, the images are not interesting as they could be, and my text choices were very limited. You can also see from my editing that I had little idea how to get best from Photoshop and that I did not know how to use InDesign at this stage. However, making these early mistakes did teach me that research and developing technology skills were important to successful media products, and when you look at my final products, you can see I have taken a lot more time and care to learn about the following existing conventions, learn about represent my audience, and to develop my technology skills, because my final products show more professionalism and are a lot more eye-catching. Looking at my prelim work and my main task work, I think what really stands out is how my understanding of the importance of layout and colour has improved, because these two things are a lot more eye-catching on my final products. I have also used better images, better typography and better lexis, and this makes the final products more powerful too. However, even though I feel I have learned a lot and I am happy with the progress I have made, I still believe there is room for improvement, in the sense I don't think my products stand out enough from the competition. For example, the cover is missing a few simple things that could have improved it further, such as more images or a more powerful image, which would create a more eye-catching piece. In conclusion, even though I feel I learned a lot from the mistakes I made in my prelim task and from the process of creating my main cover, content and double page spread, I think if I had more time or I did a similar project again, I'd be able to improve on what I've created further. The main publishers of music magazines in the UK are Bauer, IPC and Future plc. Bauer is a huge media group which is a worldwide empire offering over 300 magazines in 15 countries, reaching over 22 million UK consumers every week. IPC, or now known as the Time Inc. UK, are also one of the UK's leading magazine publishers. IPC publish NME, which is a very popular magazine in my target audience. Future plc offer a lot of magazines in several genres such as technology, games and music. Future plc has a wide range of rock indie magazines, but is not as popular as the likes of NME or Kerrang! But the company has other popular magazines which have the same or similar target audience to mine. Overall, Bauer would be the best publishing company for my magazine, as it would cater for a large audience, which is also the same as my target audience. The main advantage of using such a big company is their experience by doing other indie magazines such as Kerrang! And Q. They would also be better to market my magazine to my audience than I would be able to do independently. The others could have also worked, but Future plc don't have a lot of experience with dealing with indie and rock magazines, and IPC don't have a market the size of Bauer.